Hey guys, so if you joined me on my most recent live stream, I talked a little bit about the new Badass Quad. I didn't really talk about the other two things that I'll talk about today, which is the lid lacquer and the Badass Mascara, but most of you, understandably, are very, very interested in this quad. Now, I sat down and filmed a video when I first got this. I was so excited. I love this formula from Tom Ford. It looks like their wet dry formula. I sat down and I filmed a video and I was like, this ain't it. What is happening? So I kind of scrapped that video, although I'll be putting in like B-roll from it just so you can see what I tried to do and what it looked like. But I will be doing a demo of this eye look with this quad. I'll be talking about the lid lacquer and the Badass Mascara, which I'll also be demoing in the demo. But let's go ahead and just talk about this little mini, I guess, holiday collection, you could say, from Tom Ford. So this is all part of the Tom Ford Extreme line. And actually what's funny is when I talked about my worst products from my favorite brands, the single Extreme eyeshadows from Tom Ford, those were definitely one of the worst products I ever experienced from Tom Ford. And he also came out with an Extreme Quad, I think last winter, and I just passed on it. It just didn't look that great, and I don't think it got really great reviews. But when I saw this one with like the wet dry formula, I got really excited. So why don't we go ahead and get some swatches out of the way. So I swatched all four colors, both wet and dry, and I went from, you know, left to right, top to bottom. And so when I did the finger swatches for these swatches, I could immediately feel that these shadows did not feel the same as my other Tom Ford wet dry quads. It felt a little bit harder and it didn't feel quite as like silky smooth. And I thought, you know, maybe it's the colors. They're like a little bit darker. I know purples can be sometimes a little bit more difficult to formulate. They always end up a little bit drier. So I thought maybe that was the situation. And then I went in to do my wet swatches. Now, I first went in with some Inglot Duraline. And Inglot Duraline has like a little bit of a thicker consistency than, let's say, something just like MAC Fix Plus. So I went in with that first because that is generally used to, you know, make cream shadows out of powder shadows or whatever. And you know, you can even see if you look at the pans in here, I usually just kind of do it on the left-hand side of each pan is where I'll, you know, do the wet business and leave the right side dry. You can even see it's like it almost didn't even make a dent into the pan. That's kind of how hard these are. And I thought, okay, the Duraline isn't really working. So then I whipped out the MAC Fix Plus, which did work a little bit better than the Duraline. I think because it's a little bit thinner and these are a little bit harder. But still, I had to work really hard to get those wet swatches. So then I thought, okay, maybe these aren't the wet dry formula. Maybe they just look like it and they're really not meant to be worked wet. So then I started playing with them on my eyes dry. And I was like, these are terrible. These are really, really terrible. So there is very little pigmentation with these two top colors, I find. This champagne color on my skin tone, it almost doesn't matter. It's like I put it on, I thought it was just gonna have a little bit more of a frostiness, a little bit more impact there. It doesn't really. That's what I have like on my inner corners there. They kind of just look like, I don't know, like a very soft satin color. Again, not what I'm used to when it comes to this formula from Tom Ford. Usually you just get something really like silky and bright looking, and I just didn't get it from that shade. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. I moved over to this shade, which I was so excited for, and all I could see was the black base to it. So it's like, you know, like a purple metallic, but there's like a black kind of base to it. It kind of gives it a little gravity, it gives it a little moodiness there. But that's what I have on my outer corner. There's like literally no purple to it. I see actually a lot more with the finger swatches. And so I thought, okay, maybe on my eyes, I'll see a little bit more. No, I see less. I see less. And you'll see in my demo that when you start to try and like blend it out a little bit, because the black base is pretty dark, when you try and kind of soften it up a little bit, you kind of end up blending it away. And I thought, what the heck is going on? And then these two shades are fine. This one isn't quite as like liquid metally as I thought it was going to be. And then it's a little bit too dense to just be a topper. So I tapped it onto the center of my lid here, and it actually has enough pigmentation there where it kind of matches the purple base. And so they end up, I don't know, it just doesn't look right. I talk a little bit more about it in my demo when I actually do it. So that wasn't great. And then this is, you know, just kind of like a dark gunmetal color with, you know, some sparkle in there. Nothing special. Like, you're not buying this quad for this shade, okay? Let me just say that. You probably bought it for this shade, which is the most disappointing. I have no idea why like 0 purple actually shows up on my lids. It's so weird. When I first filmed this and before I started filming and I had played with it on my eyes, I was like, this does not look good. And then I thought, okay, maybe it's meant to work with the lid lacquer. Maybe you're supposed to use this as a base. So this lid lacquer is actually surprisingly cool, I think. It is a little shocking. It's a little shocking. So when I first got it and I saw that it was just pure black, like I thought it was gonna have a little bit of metallic glitter to it or something. No, it's just pure black. So I was like, oh, okay, what's this about? And then it comes out, it's kind of like a gloss. Like, do you see how thin it is? It's not like a cream shadow really. And so I thought, oh God, this is gonna be a mess, but it's actually pretty cool. So I'm just gonna swipe some onto the back of my hand. You can see it's just black. And it scared me. It scared me a little bit, I have to say. But then when you start to blend it out, I mean, obviously you wouldn't use this much on your eye, but when you start to blend it blends out really evenly. And you get like a really nice kind of like smoky eye look. So I'm gonna try and insert some B-roll here from the first time I tried to film this, because I put this down as a base and then I put the shadows on top, hoping that, I don't know, the wetness or the sheen from here would help amplify those shades. It didn't really help. It didn't really help. But you do get a really nice smoky look. And so this, it's interesting. It has like a kind of a thick consistency, but it's not like, it's just a little tacky. And then it gets less and less tacky as it sets down. And it's just like really comfortable on the lids. And then it's just really comfortable on the lids. I had that eye look on, not for too long because it was a very dramatic eye look, probably, you know, while I filmed. So I probably had that eye look on for about 2.5, 3 hours, and it didn't move. Like, I thought for sure, because this doesn't set down completely, that it was just gonna, you know, melt a little bit, migrate a little bit, crease, you know, in this, maybe crease a little bit, but I didn't experience any of that. And it could be that I had some powder shadows down on top of it, which basically kind of sets it down. I don't know how this is gonna act all by itself, but I am definitely gonna try, because I do like a smoky eye, and I think because smoky eyes are so intimidating, this could actually make it kind of easy. I think it's very intimidating looking because of the consistency, because of how black it is. But I think if you kind of just want like a grungy, like simple kind of smoky eye, this could be great, because it kind of like look at how it just like blends out. It's very unique, mainly because of its consistency. I have, you know, black cream shadows that work, you know, really nicely, but nothing quite like this. So I was very pleasantly surprised by this product. And again, if you're looking for like a simple smoky eye, you may want to give this a shot. You may want to give it a shot. And then the Badass mascara, I really like. I will talk more about that in the demo, just because I feel like it makes a little bit more sense as I'm putting it on to describe my feelings for it. But in short, I think it's a great volumizing mascara without being clumpy. And hopefully you guys can see the mascara there. So I'm just gonna do one comparison with this quad, mainly because I don't recommend this quad over any of the other Tom Ford quads that I have, but I will compare this to the Double Indemnity because so many of you requested, you know, for that particular comparison. So I will compare those two right now. I'll have these 4 swatched on my arm and just dry, these 4 swatched on my arm, and then I'll have the Double Indemnity swatched next to it. So if you have to choose between the two, I definitely, no doubt in my mind, the Double Indemnity. It's a beautiful quad. It's absolutely gorgeous. It works beautifully, wet and dry. It's just absolutely stunning. All right, I think that's all I had to say about these 3 pieces. Let's go ahead and jump into the demo. All right, I'm gonna start with my Sonia G Worker 1 brush. I'm gonna go into the lightest shade here in the top left-hand corner. And I'm really, you know, like bringing my brush over this, and I'm just not picking up a lot of product. I don't know. I definitely feel like these are much harder pressed than previous versions of this same formula. Like, it took a lot just to get that much. And there it is on the lid. I just find it lackluster. Okay, next I'm going to take my Sonia G Worker 2 brush. I'm going to go into this purpley shade. Pick up some product. So there's the purpley shade. Again, I just find it very lackluster. I feel like what I see on the lid is more of like the black base to the color instead of the really vibrant like purple tone to it. I don't know. I just feel like, you know, compared to what I see in the pan, this is just like blah. It's just blah. I'm grabbing a clean G34 from Esam and just kind of blending everything out. And the other problem with this purpley shade, I feel like if I blend just a little too much, can you see? It starts to kind of blend away. And I'm barely putting any pressure on this brush. I'm just kind of grazing it across just to kind of soften the edges a little bit, but I feel like it's just taking away pigment. All right, now I'm gonna grab some of this shade here just with my fingertip. I'm just gonna tap that onto the center of my lid here. It is definitely, out of all the shades in this quad, it is definitely the shiniest. But like, because there isn't enough purple in the purple shade, I feel like those two shades just kind of like, I don't know, they just kind of like run into each other. There's not a lot of differentiation. There isn't like the excitement of the two shades like blending together. They're just kind of like sitting next to one another. And then next I'm gonna grab my Esam S31 pencil brush. I'm gonna go into the deepest shade here and just use this to kind of deepen up my lash line. All right, I'm gonna curl my lashes so we can go ahead and play with the Badass mascara. All right, and now for the Badass mascara. This is what the wand looks like. So it has a slight curve to it. I don't know, it's almost like they didn't need to bother, but there is a slight curve to it. And then there's very short, like plastic bristles that are kind of twisted, you know, along the top. They're not just straight up and down. And I was actually surprised how much I actually like this mascara. So let me just apply it. So what I like about this mascara is, like the Lash Raise mascara from Tom Ford, I love because it separates and it really makes my lashes look very, very long. It keeps the curl in them, but it doesn't give me a lot of volume, which is okay because I tend to dislike volumizing mascaras because I just find them to look very, very clumpy. But this mascara, I feel like gives me volume, but it doesn't look clumpy. It just really makes each individual lash look thicker, and that's very nice. Now, it doesn't necessarily add the length that I like that the Lash Raise does. It doesn't necessarily like keep the curl to my lashes, but if I want like a thicker lash, this is a great mascara for that. All right, so there is the Badass mascara. I think you guys can see how like each individual lash looks thicker, but I don't feel like it looks clumpy at all. I really don't like clumpy. All right, let me go ahead and put on some lips and I will be right back. All right, I just put on the Tom Ford Lip Spark in Thrust. It's this color and it's very, very glittery. I think you guys can see that. But I like them. The texture is great. They're not overly pigmented. They just look, you know, slightly frosty, slightly glittery. So I don't know. I thought it would kind of make up for the lack of eyeshadow we've got going on. So unfortunately, I just don't like this quad. I don't think it lives up to the hype. I don't think it lives up to the name. I don't think it lives up to what it looks like. I mean, it looks like it is going to be like the only quad I am going to want to reach for this winter season, but definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, I feel like even, and you guys let me know down below in the comment section, I feel like the shadows are fading already. I feel like the pigmentation has faded and I haven't touched it. I've put on the mascara, I've put on the lipstick, and I haven't touched it. It's not like I've tried to blend it out even more. And it just looks... So if you got this quad, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your experiences with them. Maybe I got a dud? I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine, but it's always possible. But in terms of the mascara, I really like it. And in terms of the lid lacquer, I'm actually very, very pleasantly surprised. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.